Welcome to the Broadway.com show, filmed right here in the historic Brill Building. I'm Paul Wontorek.
And I'm Beth Stevens. Today we're checking out new musicals on and off Broadway and checking in with a couple of Tony winners.
And later, we'll offer guidance on your summer theater road trip.
But first, let's get started with the news. What's the buzz, Paul?
Big news is coming out of Agrabah. After a worldwide search, Disney has announced the stars of the upcoming live-action musical adaptation of Aladdin. Newcomers Mina Massoud and Naomi Scott will take a magic carpet ride as Aladdin and Princess Jasmine in the Guy Ritchie-directed film, which will feature new songs with music by Alan Menken and lyrics by the Tony and Oscar-winning team of Benj Pasek and Justin Paul. After much speculation, Will Smith has indeed signed on to play the genie in this new Aladdin, a role made iconic by the late comedian Robin Williams in the 1992 animated hit. There's no release date yet for the film, but for now, you can enjoy Aladdin 8 times a week in the fantastic Broadway smash at the New Amsterdam Theater.
Fresh off a pair of Emmy nominations, Alec Baldwin will head back to the small screen to star in a live rendition of Aaron Sorkin's A Few Good Men. Baldwin will play Colonel Nathan Jessup in the broadcast. That's the role that nabbed Jack Nicholson an Oscar nomination in the unforgettable 1992 film version of Sorkin's 1989 play. When A Few Good Men is broadcast next year, it will be the first live production of a Broadway drama on television in over 50 years.
I can't wait to see Baldwin's take on You Can't Handle the Truth.
And I can't wait to live tweet it.
Uma Thurman has landed her latest leading man. Broadway vet Josh Lucas will play hubby to Thurman in the fall political drama The Parisian Woman. Primarily known for his work in films like A Beautiful Mind, Sweet Home Alabama, American Psycho, and You Can Count on Me, Lucas recently starred in TV's The Mysteries of Laura and in the 2005 Broadway revival of The Glass Menagerie opposite Jessica Lange. Playwright Beau Willimon, who created House of Cards, has updated The Parisian Woman for its Broadway premiere. Although it was first produced at South Coast Repertory Theater in 2013, the show is now said to be set after last year's fiery presidential election. Pam McKinnon directs this sure-to-be-buzzed-about new play, which opens on November 30th.
If you didn't get a chance to see the acclaimed production of Sarah DeLopp's 2017 Pulitzer Prize finalist The Wolves off Broadway, you're in luck. The Wolves will bow at Lincoln Center's Mitzi E. Newhouse Theater this fall, and original off-Broadway cast members will return for the production. The play examines a girls' indoor soccer team in all its glorious, raw adolescence. Performances begin on November 1st with opening night set for November 20th.
We're keeping our eyes on this next story. Merrily We Roll Along, one of only a handful of Stephen Sondheim shows to not yet receive a Broadway revival, is getting an A-list staging at the Huntington Theater Company in Boston this fall. Maria Friedman will recreate her acclaimed 2012 staging of the Sondheim George Firth musical, which first played the Menier Chocolate Factory in London before transferring to the West End, with her 2 British leading men. Mark Umbers will once again play Franklin Shepherd, with Damien Humbly as Charlie Kringus. Joining them will be one of Broadway's powerhouse Elphabas, Eden Espinosa, as Mary Flynn. Performances run from September 8th through October 15th. Could this be the production that brings this difficult but beautiful musical back to Broadway? Stay tuned.
Are there any musical theater nerds who don't love Merrily?
Damn few.
Casting for the London production of J.T. Rogers' Tony-winning play Oslo is set. Screen and stage star Toby Stephens will star opposite Lydia Leonard, who was nominated for a 2015 Tony Award for her work in Wolf Hall. They will play the married Norwegian diplomats at the center of a high-level attempt to broker peace between the Palestinians and Israelis. The play will begin performances at the National Theatre on September 5th before transferring to the West End's Harold Pinter Theatre from October 2nd through December 30th. In other London news, James Graham's new play Ink, which takes a look at Rupert Murdoch and the birth of the Sun newspaper, will transfer to the West End's Duke of York Theatre for a run from September 9th through January 6th, 2018. The mounting, directed by Rupert Gould, follows an acclaimed run at London's Almeida Theatre and features Tony nominee Bertie Carvel, aka the original Miss Trunchbull in Matilda, as Murdoch.
After the break, we'll meet the stars of Prince of Broadway, find out about the new off-Broadway musical Curvy Widow, check in on Tony winner Nikki M. James in rehearsal for Bubbly Black Girl, get the inside scoop on where to take a summer theater road trip, and even more.
Wipe away the mask of makeup, just to talk, not to spur, man to man, queen to queen on a par, standing face to
Hi, I'm Betsy Wolfe, and I'm starring in Waitress, and you are watching the Broadway.com show.
Welcome back. Bobby Goldman and Drew Brody's new musical comedy, Curvy Widow, is now in performances at Off-Broadway's West Side Theater, where it will officially open on August 3rd. I recently chatted with Goldman and star Nancy Opel during a preview event to find out why this tale of a 50-something widow thrust back in the dating game is a must-see this summer. Curvy Widow is based on the real-life experiences of Goldman, who used her ventures into online dating services, dreadful first dates, and sex sites as material for the show's story, something she wasn't entirely sure would be successful.
What happened is a group of serious people at serious publishing houses said, write it. You have to. So I did, thinking everybody would tell me it was no good and leave me alone. And the next thing I know, we're doing it. So no, this is not, I'm being kicked and screamed, dragged into this. Otherwise, why would I put, honest to God, my vaginal dryness on stage, which is part of the big number of gynecological tango?
This is a mostly autobiographical story about Bobby Goldman, who wrote the book to the show. She co-wrote with Drew Brody, our composer-lyricist, and it's basically about her life after her husband, James Goldman, passed away very suddenly. I think most women have a story like this if they've lost someone in their life, whether it's divorce or widowhood or your kids go to college or whatever. You find yourself kind of on your own. But the thing that I like about it most, which doesn't appear in a lot of dramatic work, a woman almost always is relying on a man for something.
Tony nominee Nancy Opel portrays Bobby in the show, and both women give credit to young composer Drew Brody for making the musical score work on a side-splitting and tear-jerking level.
The thing that I find kind of uncanny about Drew Brody, there's emotional connection, I think, to his lyrics.
I love what he does, and he is definitely the moral center, because I'm not. So there's always that Drew voice, Bobby, we can't do that.
For theatergoers craving an unconventional musical romp, Curvy Widow is not only a showcase for Opel's vocal and comedic chops, but also a theatrical treat that's left audiences raving.
If you like to hear me sing, I sing an awful lot. I don't even know how many songs I sing in the show, but it's all wonderful and fun, and I enjoy all of them. And but it's a lot. It's a lot of singing.
It has the broadest audience I have ever seen for a show, and people take it, it's about widowhood, it's about change of life, it's about, oh my God, my parents did this. And in George Street, it went crazy, and the reviews were embarrassingly good enough that we couldn't even post them because it looked like your relatives wrote them.
Tony winner Nikki M. James is getting ready to star in Kirsten Childs' Bubbly Black Girl Sheds Her Chameleon Skin at Encores on July 26th and 27th. We recently caught up with James about playing this effervescent young African-American dancer who finds her way from the West Coast to Broadway.
Kirsten really started this project writing songs for herself, and she realized that these songs tell a story, her story, and she sort of developed it as a one-woman show, and it's just like a little insight into this life of a young black girl growing up in the 60s in Los Angeles and then moving to New York to pursue her dreams of, dancing stardom.
The show follows a young woman who must navigate the politics of race and gender as she finds her true self. Bubbly Black Girl first premiered off-Broadway in 2000 starring LaShans and won Kirsten Childs an Obie Award.
It's more than about just her. It's about a lot of little girls who's sort of growing up and learning about who she is and defining herself and learning how to not smile all the time, but to stand up for herself. And Kirsten has this incredible ability to write awesome lyrics and really challenging melodies and intricate and specific rhythms that once you get them in your body feel totally right, but when you are looking at them on the page, it's sort of like learning how to, pat your head and rub your stomach, which I can do. You see I'm doing it.
With its catchy score, this show is undeniably delightful as it manages to bring up serious ideas.
There's more than one way to tell the story of Black people, specifically Black women, young Black women. I love the stories that we've been telling in the last couple of years, both in theater and in film, but I love that this is a story about growth and not about necessarily sadness or oppression. Bubbly really she bubbles to the top, and I think it's a really, really beautiful story.
Tony winner Billy Porter married the love of his life in January when he put a ring on Adam Porter-Smith in a private Manhattan ceremony. Now the always stylish Porter and his husband are teaming up to launch a Chelsea store for the hip eyewear company Native Ken. Broadway.com headed down to 8th Avenue to check out the store's stylish specs.
This is Native Ken Eyewear in Chelsea on 8th Avenue. I'm co-owner of the brand, and we're just launching our eyewear collection of Optical and Sun.
We dated back in 2009 and then remained friends. And so when I was putting my look together for Kinky Boots, which was geek chic, he's the person that helped me create that look. If you go to the Tonys, if you go back to the Gap ad, that was the branding, that was his vision. That's why people know who I am.
I've been in the eyewear industry since 2004, launching many different brands over the years. And it was kind of an aspiration of mine to one day have my own collection. So it was just the next step. We wanted it to be very New York style chic. There's no branding, so we've removed the logo from everything. It's very classic, vintage inspired eyewear with a modern twist.
I love eyewear because I can play, because it changes my face, it changes my look. You know, you can put different things on and it means something different and you feel something different.
We have one style, which is a really beautiful cat eye for women, and then everything else is pretty much unisex.
The design is so upscale, high end. I really, really like that, and they're affordable.
I want them to be their go-to pair, where no matter how many pairs of glasses they have, ours will be their favorite.
Broadway's next big musical is here. In toasting the great career of producer and director Hal Prince, Prince of Broadway promises a lineup of show-stopping songs, talented stars, and more unforgettable moments than maybe any other show on the boards. We recently got a chance to talk to the players behind this must-see musical event at a press rehearsal in Midtown Manhattan. Recreating moments from some of the greatest Broadway hits ever, like West Side Story, Fiddler, Cabaret, Evita, Company, Follies, Sweeney Todd, Phantom, and more, Prince of Broadway is a pinch-me gig for its 9 talented stars.
The best gig you could possibly get. It's certainly the best audition you could probably get. Playing all these great characters, working with this amazing team, and singing alongside this incredible cast.
I love going to work every day. I love going to work with Susan Stroman, Al Prince, Chase Morrow Brown. I love everybody, all the creatives in the room. Everybody who comes to work feels like they want to be there, and there's history in the room, and it's really exciting to be a part of that.
When I was starting out, the joke was, well, Hal Prince called me and said, and it was a joke, but Hal Prince actually called me.
Although they all get the spotlight, the Prince of Broadway company also revels in the smaller roles they get to play.
Obviously, of course, the roles that you get to do, all of your solo sort of 11 o'clock numbers, are dream roles. But it's also kind of a dream, like you were saying, to be in the ensemble of Sweeney Todd and be up there on the fire escapes singing Bobby,
baby,
you
which
know what I
is
mean?
very difficult.
Yes, and the counting is impossible.
Well, the interesting thing about this show is it really does ask for facile performers who can do a lot of different stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because everybody is
Everybody is really stretching.
Amalia is not something that normally you would see a voluptuous black woman playing. and I love Hal because he said, she sings it beautifully, so let's just do it. Let's have her do it. And that's a wonderful feeling to just be in the room and be able to do material that I wouldn't normally be called in for.
It's like I get to do the Evita stuff and then I get to do the Spider-Woman stuff. So it's Patty and Cheetah all wrapped into one night. It's ridiculous. It's really amazing.
With so many dazzling moments to highlight in Prince's career, Prince of Broadway is positioned as the ultimate Broadway night out.
I think we're representing 16 or 17 musicals in the show, and so it's a big conglomerate, and yet you get to see a little bit of history of Hal Prince too, and how he started, and why he did the things he did, and why he was attracted to certain projects, and how he put them together. So it's going to be kind of an explosive evening, in a very intimate way too.
For a certain audience, this is what people have been waiting for, this particular show.
At the heart of the show is, of course, 89-year-old theater icon Hal Prince, whose passion drives the entire Prince of Broadway team.
He loves it so much, like we all do. He has such a passion for the theater, like we all do. And so to have a comrade that has such a strong passion is it's worth everything.
I've had a hell of a lucky life, and I'm still having it, by the way. I'm very carefully making this not my farewell attraction. In fact, I'm looking for another show, and I want to, as long as it's all working, why not?
When we return, a roundtable on summer theater that's worth a road trip.
Broadway's new must-see musical takes you into the heart of the remarkable true story of 7,000 stranded passengers and a small town in Newfoundland that welcomed them. Come From Away, Broadway's best surprise of the season. Every New Yorker must see this show. It does what the best musicals do, takes you to a place you never want to leave. It's the catharsis we need in this American moment, raves the New York Times. Come From Away, telecharge.com.
Welcome back. I'm joined now by Beth Stevens, Imogen Lloyd-Webber, and Ryan Lee Gilbert, and we are going to discuss some summer theater options because not much happens on Broadway in the summer. And so what a lot of people do is get in a zip car and drive. You know, there's a lot of theaters within a couple hours and a lot of really great things happening. So we want to sort of let everyone know what's happening and what you could be spending your summer doing. Imogen, what do you think is exciting that's happening that people should think about?
Well, let's get to it here. Aaron Tveit.
Oh, of course.
I mean, come on, Tveit Tots, yeah. He's doing Bobby and Company at the Barrington Stage in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. So I think all of us are thinking, oh, it's been 10 years since it's come to Broadway. Could this transfer?
I mean, that's a great, juicy part. Bobby and
It's the one everyone says they want to play.
Yeah, he's playing it August the 10th through September the 2nd. And a really interesting supporting cast. Ellen Harvey as Joanne, who I adore. Lawrence Street as Harry. So we'll see. I mean, who knows? But Aaron Tveit, I mean, you can imagine the Tveit Tots have already got their plans.
I mean, everyone's been waiting to hear him like doing
Bobby,
another musical.
Yeah.
I mean,
Bobby.
Yeah.
Come on.
Bobby,
Robert Darling.
So the Berkshires, Beth, you know the Berkshires pretty
I know the
well.
Berkshires. I do. And I will say, as much as I love Barrington Stage, and that production is directed by the artistic director, Julianne Boyd, Williamstown Theater Festival is the king of the Berkshires. It's a celeb magnet. It's the northernmost.
WTF, that's what they call themselves, which I love.
They landed well there.
Williamstown is the northernmost of the theaters. There are a lot of theaters in the Berkshires. And they're doing The Clean House, which is a Sarah Rule play, which premiered off-Broadway, premiered at Yale Rep, but then it went off-Broadway in 2006. It was a 2005 Pulitzer Prize finalist. Okay. But listen to this cast. Jane Atkinson, if you've been binge watching House of Cards, you know Jane Atkinson. Right. Jessica Hecht, just like just an amazing group of people up there. Yeah. So that's up at Williamstown, but there's some other stuff up there. They love to do new work in their Nico stage. That's like their second stage, a smaller stage. They're doing a play. Here's the title. Work with me here. It's called Moscow, 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 Moscow. I may have missed one. That's by Hallie Pfeiffer and directed by Trip Cullman. So this is a sort of, I would say, a millennial take on Three Sisters. Kristen Milioti, Tavi Gevinson, Thomas Sadowski, Micah Stock, Harvey Blanks, Rebecca Henderson, just like so packed with people, right? So
I feel like that's going to end up in New York. That sounds like a show that's going to come to New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of Bucks County Playhouse in New Hope, Pennsylvania. And they are doing one of my favorite musicals of all time, Guys and Dolls. And this cast is amazing.
Another Broadway.com star is in this one.
Yes. The queen herself, Leslie Margarita, as Miss Adelaide. If you don't want to sign up to see Leslie Margarita sing A Bushel and a Peck and Adelaide's Lament, there's no hope for you. But also you've got Elena Shadow as Sarah, you've got Clark Thorell, you've got Steve Rosen. The cast is amazing, and you have Hunter Foster directing. This is his third production this summer at Bucks County Playhouse. So Guys and Dolls this summer, I think July 21st it starts. Make sure you go see
But
that.
Imogen, isn't there actually another show in the Berkshires that might come to Broadway?
Okay, we need to talk about Children of Alessa God, which stars a man I've seen naked, Joshua Jackson.
Oh, that's right.
Who was in Smart People off Broadway, directed by Kenny Leon, who is directing Children of Lesser God. Now, there was talk a couple of years ago that Kenny Leon was going to do a revival of Children of Lesser God on Broadway. That didn't happen, so we now got, we're keeping our eyes on that. And this play, I think, is very interesting. I know you know a lot about this one, Beth, because it's about a deaf student, isn't it, who sort of has this odd relationship with her
teacher.
And
A former teacher, yeah.
And it was Marlee Maitland who won the Oscar for that. Tony-winning play from 1980, hasn't been revived since. So yes, all eyes on Joshua
And this
Jackson.
is the final weekend for that, actually. So if you want to see that, get the car right now.
Yeah.
Get in the car. I want to talk about Cape Cod, because one of the really fun things, this is like a classic summer stock kind of option. The Cape Playhouse is a very famous theater in Dennis, Massachusetts on Cape Cod. And when you go on their website, you can see all the old Hollywood stars who have allegedly or historically performed there. And it sort of was one of the really early ones. They're doing Gypsy, which of course many people consider the greatest musical ever. And their Mama Rose is Julia Murney, who we all love. Total Broadway diva. We love her. Also a former Elphaba. And she's joined by Carolyn Bowman, another Elphaba, as her daughter Louise. And also, fun fact, Jen Cody, who does a lot of shows actually at Cape Playhouse. She will be Tessitura. So she's going to bump it with the trumpet. This to me is it's like a classic summer stock kind of fun. It's great, it's great to see somebody like Julia Murney get the chance to play Mama Rose. And that is August 8th through the 19th. What else?
Well, we have Lynn Nottage this season with Sweat. She got, another Pulitzer Prize and nominated for Best Play. One of her earlier plays, Intimate Apparel, they're doing at the Bay Street Theater in Sag Harbor. And this is about a young African-American woman in 1905, comes to New York City, wants to make it as a seamstress, makes lingerie for society ladies and ladies of the night, starts writing love letters to a Caribbean man, but she's in love with her Hasidic fabric seller. Juicy stuff in there, getting raves, and Kelly McCreary is in it. Portia, who was in Ruined, is in it as well. So that is a must-see.
Wait, I have another thing about Lynn Nottage. So at Powerhouse Theater at Vassar College is sort of this really hot thing where they premiere a lot of shows and do workshops. They're doing, of course, we talked about this on the site, Uzo Aduba, who a lot of people have been waiting to come back to Broadway, is doing a reading next weekend, the July 27th through the 30th, of Secret Life of Bees, which is a great book, great movie. She's playing the role Jennifer Hudson played in the movie, actually. And it's written by Lynn Nottage, Duncan Sheik, Susan Birkenhead, directed by Sam Gold. Wow. I mean, if that's not pre-Broadway, I don't know what is. And also, a very top secret reading is happening this Sunday of Diana, the Princess Diana musical, written by the Memphis team. So Joe DiPietro and David Bryan, who both won Tony Awards for Memphis, and directed by brand new Tony winner Christopher Ashley. We don't know who's playing Princess Diana, but that's happening on Sunday at 5 o'clock, and I don't think you can get into that one, but maybe you can go and beg. I don't know. I think that's another hot ticket.
And what's a summer without a little Shakespeare? We have As You Like It, a new production, which they're doing at the Bay Street Theater. They're doing it with the Classic Stage Company. So John Doyle, the artistic director there, he is directing this production of As You Like It. And Stephen Schwartz, who we all know, is providing a jazz era-inspired score to go along with it. And this cast is going to be playing their own instruments, including Ellen Burstyn, you have Kyle Scatliff, you have, it sounds fantastic. And spending a summer, afternoon in the forest with these people, I think is something I would like to do.
Well, if you thought your summer theater going was a little sparse, now you have a lot of things you could potentially go see. So thank you guys for all your tips, and we hope you have fun on your road trip.
We'll be right back with another look at the Encore's off-center presentation of Bubbly Black Girl.
Wipe away the mask of makeup, just to talk, not to spur, man to man, queen to queen on a par, standing face to
Hello, I'm Cheetah Rivera, and you are watching the Broadway.com show.
Thank you for watching the Broadway.com show.
We leave you with another chance to check out Bubbly Black Girl Sheds Her Chameleon Skin, starring Nikki M. James.
See you next week.